The pipes hadn't stopped dripping for months. It was the middle of February when I heard it first. A slight pattering and tapping amongst almost inaudible drips by the kitchen sink in my apartment. I hadn't thought much of it then, as it was the middle of the night and I'd only popped in to grab a drink and head back to bed, only taking a brief mental note to mention it to the landlord in the morning. The back and forth between the landlord continued for about a week, before they begrudgingly gave way and got a contractor to look at the pipes in the kitchen. All was fine, they said. No leaks, sounds, or anything to suggest any fault with our system. I didn't give it much thought after that, since I hated being a bother, even though the issue persisted. The slight drips and patters became a full cascade of water parading and dancing inside the pipes over the coming weeks. But the strangest thing of all was this sound wasn't audible in the day. It would only occur between 1 and 5 in the morning. Then it would fizzle out, as if not to disturb the neighbors. The sounds would continue even if I turned the water off, even though I could feel it vibrating through my pipes under the sink. It was like everyone was running water between this time, the pipes whirring under continuous strain. Then one night, quite recently, I fell asleep on my sofa watching some mind-numbing video on the TV. Even though this sofa was from the landlord, and probably older than I am, it feels all too comfy after a long day, just ready to relax and drift away. My blissful yet unfulfilling nap had abruptly ended, with a jet-like hiss coming from the kitchen. Through unadjusted eyes, I lifted my head and peered into the kitchen, the illumination of the TV only just highlighting the glint of water pooling over the hardwood floors. I peeked over to my phone. 3:41 a.m. Fuck, I muttered to the teleshopping ad on the screen, reeling in my annoyance that I couldn't contact anyone to stop this leak for the next few hours. Sitting myself up from the couch and composing myself, I stumbled over to the light switch to assess the damage just before I ran to get a towel. Moving my eyes onto the floor, still adjusting, the water appeared the slightest red. Just a hint. Maybe it was just my eyes. Maybe. After grabbing all the towels I could muster, forming a perimeter around the strange water so it couldn't go any further, I ventured towards the kitchen sink. Getting closer, the noises it was emitting had a slightly different tune. Rather than gushing, it was gurgling. I pinned that down to the leak and swung open the under-sink cabinet with confidence. A deep red encased the burst pipe, my eyes already undoing and redoing swift sweeps of the cabinet, the interior identical to a neatly wrapped crime scene. A quick swipe over the redness with my finger, and a smell confirmed what I had already subconsciously known. Blood. I didn't know what to do. I instinctively took a step back. Scrambling over to my phone, I rang the only number alive at this time, the emergency line. Hello? Police, please. I didn't think to give them any time to ask which service I needed. Any manners previously learned disappeared into the folds of panic looming over me. Hello, what is your address? Stuttering, I complied with the question to get someone sent out immediately. And what's the reason for your call? There's blood all over my floor. Whose? Should we call an ambulance to your address also? I don't know whose or where it came from. Please, just come quickly. A car's already been deployed. Its estimated arrival is 4 minutes. Please stay on the line to ensure your safety. I left the phone on speaker so I could bundle my now stained hands around my face, the gurgling of the pipes plaguing my ears. 2 police officers arrived not too long after, a male and a female. After jittering the locks for what seemed like minutes, they came through with unsure authority, not yet knowing if I'm the threat or victim of this call. "It's in the kitchen," I say through the lump in my throat, thickening with dread. Their brazen faces turn sour as they open the door into the kitchen. A shimmer of relief, with accompanying annoyance, appears on their faces. "Ma'am, plumbing isn't a police matter," muttered the male officer, combing a hand over his stubbled face, his pointed nose overshadowing his police cap, hiding his tired yet sneering eyes. "You need to look in the cabinet under the sink." Wincing from his grumbling, I look away as he advances towards the cabinet. He grips the handle and shines his flashlight tentatively inside, and a small gasp escapes his now puzzled face. "Come and look at this, will you?" he commands the other officer, closer to me than she is him. I can tell that she is more understanding of my call, with her mouth twisted into a slight frown when being called forward. She slinks over, takes a peek, and turns away, muttering over the radio. While the words were indistinguishable, a wave of heaviness passed over me, just knowing that they weren't able to help. They closed the cabinet door and stood up, explaining to me that they weren't equipped with the knowledge or equipment to fix a leak. They made a couple suggestions to the red coloring, though, such as a filtering issue or someone washing animal blood down the sink. After all the pipes in the apartment are interconnected. I could tell they were just as tired as I was, aching to get off of their shift. Though they were softer with their words after discovering what was under the sink. And they were right. They couldn't help me then. After they left, I couldn't help but fall down against the front door, crying into my hands. It was only 4:12 a.m. They'd only been gone 3 minutes, and my only options were to wait, alone. The leak had been mostly dried up with the towels now, but that dreadful gurgle was audible all throughout the apartment. I knew I wasn't going to be able to sleep until it could be fixed. A sharp, yet soft pattern of raps echo across the door. I shoot up and use my door viewer to see who on earth was there. It was a slightly stodgy and older man, large nose amongst thin lips curved into a weak smile, accompanying his wrinkled dark brown eyes. It was like he knew I'd be looking through my viewer, as his eyes were intently fixed upon it, staring straight into mine. With the chain lock still on the door, I gently tilted the door open, and was met with a brief greeting and kind face. After a weak and inquisitive hello, I asked him who he was and why he was at my door. Once again, my manners hadn't returned since I was in panic mode. He gave a quick introduction. "Sorry to bother you. The name's Andrew. I live in apartment 132, just above yours. I couldn't help but notice a lot of commotion going on and then the bright blue lights not too long ago. Are you okay? Looks like you've been crying." A sudden rush of emotion swept over me. It was like he knew I was panicked and I just needed someone to ask me something. Anything. I started to sniffle and he rustled up a packet of tissues and offered me one. I plucked one out and emitted a loud and disgusting blow of my nose. "Sorry, thank you." A small laugh escaped me then, a small wave of comfort amongst the crashing heaviness and discomfort of still being in this damn apartment. "I'm not sure if this is weird, but it looks like you need something to drink. Would you like to pop upstairs and I'll make you a cuppa? Only a quick one." that same kindness emitting from his face. I let out a small okay, grabbed my keys, and stepped out of the apartment. Andrew took a step back while I was locking the door. But even then, I felt his eyes burning into me, watching every muscle twitch. We walk up the fire exit stairs, as they're incredibly close to my apartment and his. With uncanny precision, he unlocks his door and gestures me inside. My first thought is that it's neat. Very neat. Minimalist, even. The hallway adorned with one pair of slippers, one pair of hiking boots, and one spot missing for the running shoes he had hastily put on. A slim dresser opposite the shoes, with a basic lamp dimly lighting the hallway. The layout was exactly like my apartment, so it was easy to navigate around his place. His living room just as bare as the hall, a two-seater couch with a coffee table, a small TV sitting on a plain stand, and a deep green trunk decorated with paisley gold pattern nestled in the far right corner. The deep green trunk was the most colorful thing in his beige and monotone palette, almost sitting out of place. It was quite large, too. Easily 6 feet by 4 feet, maybe 3 feet deep. You could tell it had been opened and closed, locked and unlocked frequently with its dinged-up lock protruding from the long side. "Make yourself at home." I jumped. I was too busy scanning the room to notice Andrew had already moved into the kitchen, next to the sink, kettle in hand. I went towards the green trunk, naturally, curiosity piquing. Andrew faltered then, his smile tightening up, his thin lips conveying annoyance, then back to normal. "If you don't mind, I'll sit there. You see, it's the spot I've sat in for 7 years, and I've made quite a comfortable dent in it," returning to his kind voice. I obliged, and sat in the seat further away from the illustrious green trunk. Andrew brought the tea over not too long after I sat down, a plain mug for him, and a peculiar yet familiar mug for me. It hadn't crossed my mind at that point that I hadn't told him how I liked my tea. After taking a sip of the tea, still quite hot, I slinked into the couch. "It's quite funny, actually. I've got a mug just like this at home." "Oh, really?" He let out into the air, devoid of any actual curiosity. "Yeah, I got it at this market in town. I didn't read you as the type of person to like tarot cards," I joked enthusiastically, trying to push a lighter conversation after the night I've already had. After what seemed like a long and heavy pause, staring into the awkward air surrounding us, he responded. "How bad was the leak under your sink?" My heart dropped at that point, a shiver running down my spine. Everything is a blur. Did I tell him about the leak? I must have. How else would he have known? I didn't tell him about the leak. Calming down, I answered. Pretty bad. That's why I called the police. Probably not the best way to spend their time. Oh well. Trailing off at the end of my sentence, a tiredness drowns my thoughts. Then an overwhelming nausea pulls me into action before Andrew can respond. It's the tea. "I really need to, use the bathroom. I'll be right back." Acid burning the back of my throat, I run and lock the bathroom before I hear Andrew's sudden protest. "I haven't cleaned the bathroom," he proclaimed, shooting up from his sofa and bounding towards me. Before I can intake my surroundings, I'm vomiting in the toilet. Through tear-filled eyes, I notice that same red tinge in the toilet. Am I throwing up blood? No, it's not right. It's around the rim of the toilet, not where I placed myself. I sheepishly lifted the seat and found myself nauseous again. 2 words written underneath in that same deep red. Get out. Everything starts to spin, yet I'm seeing the state of the bathroom clearly. A foul odor fills my nose and I can't help but heave, even though I've already emptied my stomach's contents. Pieces of different colored and lengths of hair dance at the end of my vision as I scan the sink and bath. Still rooted, and some even having small sections of scalp attached. The drain of the bath has a deep red stain around it. Dried blood. I think about the interconnected plumbing and pull it all together to come to the realization that I'm trapped. Andrew's kind voice hollows my stomach, magnifying the dread filling me. Don't you want to finish your tea? It'll make you feel better. You won't feel a thing. Promise. Comes from just outside the bathroom door. Luckily, this is one of those bathrooms that lock from the inside as well as the outside. I'm bolted in for now. My heart drums and my head aches. Andrew's voice and incessant knocks on the door fades away into the faint echoes in my mind as it runs rampant. Then I remember. I have my phone. Immediately, I unlock my phone and begin to dial in the emergency number. Andrew stops knocking and hitting the door. You don't want to do that. They won't believe you after the call you made earlier. His voice changed. The kindness ripped away, leaving a devoid and apathetic drone of a voice, waiting for me to give in. I don't respond. I look at my phone. 4:58 a.m. I'm interrupted in thought by Andrew scratching and clawing at the door. This time, it sounds different from the sharp knocks. More inhuman, like nails scraping away the layers of wood one by one, aching to reach for its prey. Goosebumps override me as I anxiously await my fate. He was right. It was too late to call. I can hear him tearing at the door steadily. Even if I called, it would be too late. 4:59 a.m. The scratches got more urgent, and Andrew began to whimper. He seemed frustrated. There was no way I'd be unlocking the bolt to let in the monster on the other side, no matter his pleas. Please. A faint whisper came from under the door, his bloody nails protruding from under it. He sounded weaker. 5 a.m. Everything stops. I can't hear anything from outside the bathroom. I wait a couple minutes, pleading for it to be over. Nothing. Andrew? Nothing. I open the door. It's empty. Andrew is gone. Everything is gone. I peer around the corner, waiting for him to jump out at me. He doesn't. I walk into the hall. It's bare. No slim dresser or lamp, slippers or shoes. All the doors are open. The bedroom stripped and bare. Not an essence of life to be seen. Same for the kitchen. Then I walk into the living room. The green trunk is in the center. Tentatively, I step towards it. The faint dripping noise emanates from it, like a heartbeat. Upon closer inspection, I see it's inscribed with one word: Andrew. I bounce back and rush to the front door, already unlocked. As soon as I step outside, I'm filled with an overwhelming sense of calmness. I check the door to apartment 132 and find it locked. Strange. I climb downstairs to the building attendant's desk. Who lives in apartment 132? Sorry, what? With impatience growing, I enunciate every word in my sentence again. No, I heard you. It's just that I can't disclose residents' names. But apartment 132 has been vacant for a long time. I feel myself sinking, my knees beginning to buckle. How long has it been vacant? The pause between the attendant's answer filled me with that same dread in the living room with him. 7 years. I packed up and left that same day. I haven't been back yet, but I'm hoping to get somewhere new soon, so I can leave the building and him behind. I can still hear the dripping, the water running between those hours. It's like I can hear him scratching away, urgently, waiting for me to return.